Welcome to Inspiring Transformation, the show in which we talk to people pushing the boundaries on the road to success. I'm George Starr. Mary Osei Oppong is retired Black teacher with 20 years of experience in the Scottish education system. Throughout her career, she sought to help close the gap in the disparity that exists in education by encouraging multiculturalism in her classrooms and campaigning for diversity in the teaching profession in Scotland. When she turned 60 in May this year, 2020, she decided to retire and write a book about her lived experience as one of the rare Black teachers in Scotland. Her book, entitled For the Love of Teaching, gives Mary's account of her fight or of her effort in fighting institutional racism and her relentless campaign for diversity in the teaching profession in Scotland. Mary Osei Oppong, welcome to Inspiring Transformation on Jambo Radio. How are you?
Thank you. I'm very well, thank you.
Great. It's good to have you on the show. I think we'll begin with where did your journey into teaching in Scotland began?
Well, my journey began way back in the early 90s. I wanted to start teaching well before I did, but people kept telling me that I couldn't teach in Scotland just because I was born in Ghana with different accents to the preferred or existing Scottish accent. So that frightened me a bit, but I have always, since a young girl, I always wanted to teach. So then I persevered. I thought that there must be an answer because I knew then that that was my passion. So if it was my passion, then I should be able to do a good job. So I embarked on series of learning and then go on to university. And then after that, enrolled at a teaching college, initial teacher training college, and thankfully, I was able to qualify. So it was a long journey, a very, very long journey. But one thing that I'm happy about, that I did not listen to what people were saying, but actually went for it, something that I had passion for. So that's what I would advise everyone to do the same. Whatever you have passion for, just go for it. So my teaching journey became, was a long time ago, something that I wanted to do at a young age. And I went into the teacher training college. It was tough. It was really, really tough. There were two, I would say, Black teachers and student teachers, but one left, which I didn't know why, the reason why she left. I heard rumors, but it was only rumors. But then for me, I made a promise to myself that whatever happened, I wanted to complete the course. It was tough. It was very, very tough. Tougher than I thought it was. Not the learning side, but the unfair treatment that I received. I continue because I wanted, at that time, I felt that if we, I would say African community or the Black community in Scotland, if we listen to people saying, you can't do this, you can't do that, then we will not be seen in certain places. And it's the same people who are also saying, we don't put ourselves forward. So I'm glad, I'm happy that I had the courage then to follow my passion.
Okay. And when you were growing up, what's the dream for you always to be in the profession as to be a teacher as a profession? You mentioned there that you, as since you were a little girl, you always talk about, like I want to make a career in teaching. So you
Mhm.
always talk about that. There's no other career options that you thought about, no?
Well, for me, I think I'm someone that whatever I choose, I have chosen to do or now choose to do,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm passionate about many things, I will do it well. And as evidence, you can see this book.
Yes.
That is the evidence of this book. Because I started this book, I have always thought of writing a book.
Mm. Yeah.
There came around June, towards the ending of June, early July. I felt passionate and also duty bound to write this book.
Mm.
And I didn't even know where it was taking me or how long actually I will be able to finish the book.
Mm.
But guess what? It took me just 4 months
Wow.
to launch my book. Maybe it would have been sooner, but I'm not complaining within 4 months. So for me, I'm somebody, whatever I put my heart and my mind on to do, I should be able to do it.
Mm.
When I finished my degree, I
Mm.
worked for a small company. I taught the staff basic ICT skills and also worked as a system administrator. But my passion for teaching in the mainstream education, i.e., secondary school education, was still there. So I felt that truly that's what I wanted to do, and then continue with the teacher training college.
Mm.
So for me, I think that was, you see, it, as they say, the phrase goes, it's your calling. So for me, I think teaching was my calling.
Mm. So teaching
And
was.
along the way,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I tried one or two things, but teaching has been something that maybe I was born to do.
Mm. Teaching. So teaching was something that you were born to do, and that was your calling. Very well said there. What was the trigger that made you think I must write a book about my experience? What triggered you?
Well, I would say truly, what made me more determined to write this book to show the disparities that exist in education
Mm-hmm.
came about when I saw George Floyd murder on TV.
Mm.
On that day also,
Mm.
how things happen, sometimes you don't understand, but maybe it was meant to happen that way. I woke up in the morning and all without even discussing with my family. That was unusual.
Mm.
Once I woke up, it's like something facing you, you can see, right? Something telling me that write your letter, a retirement letter.
Mm.
So I just grabbed my laptop, wrote the letter that I wish to retire. That was, I will never forget that day. That was 25th of May. Sorry, 25th, yes, 25th of May, I
Yeah.
think. And I wrote the letter, and just couple of days to my birthday,
Mm.
I wrote the letter, and after that, had something to eat, just doing this and that. And then I turned my TV on or switched my TV on later and saw the video being played again. And honestly, I cried. I really, really cried that day. And I felt that as a mother, seeing another woman's child being treated that way was very difficult to watch and also to take in. So then all that I could think about that day was, Mary, you have to write the book that you've been saying you write. And that's it, for the love of teaching. So then I sat down and came from nowhere. I wrote the title. I wrote just one by one, putting at the chapter's name down, putting the chapter's name down. I then, for whatever the reason, I go about 15 chapters. But then when the time came for me to speak with the publisher, they only needed 10 chapters. And as the launch, she said, Mary came to me with the clear intention of her book, what the book was going to be called, and also the chapter names or headings. So that day, I don't know, something came upon me for me to write my book. And straight from then, I thought what I can put in or maybe not put in, and that. So maybe about July, early July, that I started typing my manuscript. And with that, maybe within, it was prolific. Within maybe I would say 4 or 5 days, I have typed the raw manuscript. That shows how determined I was. And I did not want anything to stop me. So even sometimes I will go to bed like, maybe this is my first book anyway. But then later on, I realized that if you want to write a book, that's the way to go about it. Sometimes I will go to bed and a thought will come to mind. Then I will say, oh, let me write it down. And then I will write it down and say to myself, at the end of the day, you're going to type it anyway. So why don't you grab your laptop and type? And then I found myself typing. And sometimes maybe I have woken up about 1 a.m. or 3 a.m. or whenever that might be. And I'll find myself typing till maybe in the late afternoon. That helped me to finish my book on time. And I will advise anyone that we all have stories to tell. If you feel passionate about writing a book and tell your story, no one is in best place to write your story than yourself, because it's your own experience. It's not diluted. Because if you are going to give your story to somebody to write it, then they can strip it back, dilute it. And at the end of the day, it will not be the story that you want to tell. You want your readers to read and enjoy. So it's been, for the 4 months, I would say, it was hectic. You can imagine. And even towards the book launch, it was another thing that I got myself involved. Maybe I will receive, and throughout the book writing process anyway. Sometimes I'm saying this so that people who want to write a book should be prepared for that. Because my publisher used to send me email 3 a.m. Can you imagine that? And then asking me to maybe send this or that to her the following midday.
Yeah.
I say 12 noon. So you have to be someone motivated enough to meet deadlines to do that. I will encourage everyone. We've got our stories, and our stories are our legacy. So I will encourage everyone to write it, put it down. Even if you cannot find a publisher to publish it, like my book.
Yeah.
You can nowadays, you can use blog, social media, whatever. And once it's there for others to read. Because we have to tell our stories. We have been here, Black minority people, we've been here for a very long time. But because sometimes we cannot find the written words about us, people think that we have not been here for that long. So it's about time that we document our stories and make sure that the next generation know and also understand our contribution to the Scottish society.
Your book entitled obviously The Love of Teaching. This is an insightful account of your personal experience for Black women teachers. Do you think your experience reflects that of other Black people in other professions?
Oh, yes, I believe so. And anyone who reads my book, the stories will resonate with them because as a Black person in any profession, I believe that the struggle we go through, if not the same, will be similar. At the end of the day, as a Black person, you try your hardest, you work maybe more than twice as your counterpart. Yet you are not recognized, you are not celebrated like your colleagues. As a Black person, you will go through all the trainings, you will do well, yet you are not getting anywhere with promotion. And when you take education, for example, with my local authority that I worked for over maybe 19 years, I embarked on series of training, just the same as any other colleague of mine. But at the end of the day, it was not recognized. The children I taught, they liked me, and the services I was providing or I provided to them. The parents, I did not have any complaint, even during parents' evening, after talking to them about their children progress, they will talk to me, have a chat, just like a friend. So for me, the issue is institutionalized racism. There are structures in place to make Black people struggle. Regardless of how good you are, you will not get the job that you deserve. Why should that be the case? It is unfair. And it's, for me, I think as a teacher, not just unfair to me, it was also unfair to the children I taught. And as Black people in general, regardless of the effort we put in, people don't even want to hear us speak. As soon as they see you, I don't understand why our color is an issue to people. Maybe it's not just the color, it's the perception people have about Black people. And it has to stop, because at the end of the day, they know very well that we are as good as them. And in some instances, you find Black people just the same as white people. Some are better. So what is the issue? For society to be better, I believe that all of us, we have to work together, regardless of race, gender, socio-economic class, classification, religious affiliation, etc. We all have to come together and fight institutionalized racism so that we all can live in a happy environment, for example, in a workplace. I don't understand why Black people, we have to work 10 times harder than our counterpart, yet we are not recognized. And also, this go just the BME community, because for me, my colleagues, Asian colleagues, and what have you, the minorities, we all face the same issues in teaching. They are also struggling, and even some of them will tell you, for me, it got to a point that I wanted to leave the teaching altogether. But then I persevered. I got my union involved, and they helped me. They really helped me. In this world, if you want somebody to help you, then I'm afraid you have to help yourself first. I'm not saying that once you approach the union, everything is going to be honky-dory for you. You have to get yourself involved. That's what I did. I got myself involved. I became activist. I then learned a lot how things work. And I use the policies that is written to fight my case. And also, the law is there for everyone. You have to play your part, because if you sit back and you only approach your union when you have difficulties, then maybe it's not going to work that well for you, because there are a lot of people, right, voicing their grievances. So I believe that for you to be heard, you have to be part of the process. You have to get yourself involved. Please don't sit back. Be a member of a union that you believe that is part of your profession, and then be an activist. Get involved. For me, I got involved when things got really bad. My local association rep helped me. They only have powers to a certain point. Where I wanted the case to go, he couldn't help me anymore. And I wrote a letter with all the evidence. And also, remember that your union, they work the same as a court system will work. If you complain, if you voice your grievances, of course, they will ask you for hard evidence. So you'll be better prepared that you can show them that this is the evidence that I have. Thank goodness I had all that. So I was able to write to my union headquarters, the person at the top, and then with the evidence and my disquiet, And then they helped me. But then for the union, they work hard. But at the end of the day, they are not, for example, they are not the local authority I worked for. They worked with them to solve your issues. It got better for me to a point that I became a bit relaxed, not too stressed, because when as any other person, working can be stressful. And then on top of that, you have unfair disadvantage. That is an added stress. So we don't have to internalize all that. We have to find our voice and talk about it. Let people hear us. And the only way we can talk about it is if we go on conferences, get ourselves involved in whatever is going on. Then you tell your story. And also, you get to meet like-minded colleagues. Then you realize that, oh, you share your story and also you hear their story. You realize that you are not alone. And that can also be helpful because you learn from each other. And then you kind of get your network, your support network also, that they can help you in difficulty. So I would advise everyone, please don't sit back and suffer. There are so many ways that you can take. And if you are not sure, you can call me, you can contact me anytime and I will help you.
Excellent. Well said, Mary. I was going to ask you, now you are 60. At what age did you decide to continue your education after having children?
Oh, for me, I have always been interested in education. I completed my secondary school education in Ghana. And when I came here, I remember I enrolled in accounting courses, there's several courses, i.e. accounting, food hygiene and food handling. There are so many courses, so that I kept my interest in learning. So I did that. And the teaching part of things came. And also in the, I would say, mid-90s, I listened to the news, also read newspapers on the radio, and I heard a lot about the evolution in ICT in education. It was evolving, and even in industry as well, because at that time, it wasn't a common place to find computer suites in schools or in businesses. There were computers, but different computers. The ICT teaching was not like we know today. I think before then, it was the business studies side that teach information systems, a course that existed like that, but it was totally different. So for me, I felt that, okay, if I wanted to go into teaching, then I have to get involved in computing. So I enrolled at a college, Stowe College, actually, to be precise. I think right now is maybe part of a university. And then studied HND in computing science, and also business administration. So I was doing two subjects. and I got my HND with merit. And then with children studying, it was difficult. It was really, really tough. Going, socializing was out of the question. And I think that became part of my life, and still it is. Because if you want to achieve something, and with me, I didn't have any family members, for example, my siblings or my mom or anybody here to help me. It was just myself and my ex-husband. So he was working, I was studying, and that meant that in the evenings, the children go to bed, then became my studying time. I never once went to the library because I didn't have the luxury to go to the library to do research or study. So everything happened during the night. And thankfully, I got, as I said, my HND, and then continue. I went to university and again achieved my degree in business administration and ICT, information technology, majoring in information technology. So when I achieved that, honestly, it was brilliant. Maybe to some people, it might not have meant anything to them, but as far as I was concerned, it was brilliant because with 3 children, not going to the library to study, but everything else happening during the night, for me, it was brilliant. Once I achieved that, as I said, I worked for a short time for a company. Then I am back on the teaching. Nothing in this world that worth having you gain without sweat. So it's hard. It is hard, but you just have to persevere. Whatever you want to do, I believe it doesn't matter your age. I went into university as a mature student with children, and I achieved that. When I qualified, I was about I was about 30, 38, 39. So you can imagine that. And thank God that teaching, there is no barrier to, they don't look at your age. So that was good. That was really good for me. As long as you can do the job and do the best, give the best that you can do to the children you teach. It's tough. Teaching is one of the stressful jobs that you can have, but if you love it, then you will definitely become a good teacher. And I would say that the rewards outweigh the negatives. So if anybody is thinking about becoming a teacher, go for it, whether you want to become a nurse or what have you. Don't let what people say frighten you. Just go for it. If you tried and you think that, oh, it's not for me, then you know yourself that you have tried. Rather than not trying and then you don't know, maybe 10 years later, you'll regret. In my life, I don't regret anything because everything that I have done, I have given my all and have some successes. So I believe that anyone can also do that.
So we're gonna ask you, Mary, what do you think your former uh, pupil or student would say of you? How would they have, describe the kind of teacher you were? Or you are, because you're still teaching.
Uh,
You're still teaching the public now, not teaching the people in school anymore. But
well, from what the children, they say to me, they say to my face, especially just before the lockdown, COVID in March, then my senior pupils, they were doing the assignment, which is part of the exams, final examination. And they started, when they finished doing the assignment, completed it, they started, because at that time, I think we were all a bit scared about COVID. We didn't actually know what it was. So some of the senior pupils, they will start conversation around it, then we will talk and just laugh. We want to be happy to take our mind off COVID. And sometimes the children, they, oh, Miss, you're wonderful, Miss, you are brilliant, Miss, you are this. To me, it's just, it was everything and more that I could hear from my pupils believing in me. And also during my teaching time, there were so many things that the children, I remember when I was told that I had to leave a school, third year class, the pupils, when they presented a bracelet, a card, and also an ornament to me, honestly, I cried. The children, they have saved they didn't know that I was leaving. So it was maybe 2 weeks before I left the school. They then quickly put money together and bought a very nice bracelet for me, signed the card, and I still got the card. Miss, you're a fantastic teacher. We will miss you, miss it. And it was heartbreaking at the time, but there was nothing I personally could do. Moving from one school to the other was not my choice. And when you read my book, you find all this out. It wasn't my choice. It was the wish of the local authority. And even to a girl, a senior pupil in the same school, one day came to my class. I took the class for PSHE. PSHE, that is personal and health education.
Yeah.
Right. So the girl came to me, two girls in particular, when they were free, they will come and talk to me about whatever that maybe they wanted to talk to me about. And then I will also talk to them. And they enjoy that. And one day, one of the girls said, Miss, I will name my first born after you. And honestly, that touched me, right? It touched my heart. And the girl also, her auntie was a teacher in that school. And I was a bit friendly with the auntie. So when the girl said that, I said, but then you have to ask permission from your husband before you can name. And he says, no, miss, I will name my firstborn after you. That, you see, I cannot explain how it feels like. So the following day, I met the auntie. And I said, oh, at that time, I didn't even know they were related. So we were talking. And then she said that, oh, you don't know how so and so, she rates you so highly. And she is my niece. And I was like, oh, that is so sweet. And then I told her what the girl said to me a day before, that she will name her daughter after me if she has a daughter. And if it's not a daughter, the first daughter, whenever it's like having a girl, she will name the child. And then she said, yes, that's how much she thinks of you. She really, and honestly, what else can I say? If a pupil thinks, so for me, it's not, though I was a classroom teacher, but the children also saw me as a human being who understand them and encourage them in whatever way that they speak to me about. And for somebody to even think it's a school environment, you know what I mean? So for someone to think that when I get when I have my child, so maybe in whatever years later. So this is part of it, and there's so many comments, and the cards that I have, I will keep them forever and ever, because they are also so touching words, encouraging words, and also, I don't know, admiring words coming from children to somebody I would say they don't know. Sometimes I'm not in the school for that long anyway. But for the children to have that love for me was more than I could ever wish for. So I believe that anything that you do, if you're passionate, for me, I knew above all, I was going through a lot because I was having it from left, right, and center. But I made a point that as a teacher, I was there for the children, to educate the children. So I will try my very best. And that also helped me, because that helped me to block all the unsavory things that were happening and concentrate on the pupils' education. And for me, it worked perfectly. It worked for me. And the children also, they realized and valued me. I remember one school, I worked there, they moved me away, and I went back the second time. When I left, a girl, I think it must have been in second year or so.
Yeah.
This girl wept when I was told, and most of them, they do, but then they don't come to you and hug you. Like they don't want you to go and cry. This girl came, hugged me, held on to me for so long, crying. And then she said, Miss, I've learned so much in your class. Why should you leave? And then straight from then, she went to another classroom. And she cried there because I was going away. And then the teachers also came to my classroom and said, oh, this is what she's so upset and what have you. When I went back, then the girl was a senior pupil. And as soon as she heard that I was back in the school, this girl came straight to my classroom and did the same thing, hugged me tightly and said, oh, Miss, it's so good to see you back. And for me, this is more than anything. It's just love to know that it doesn't matter what people say to you. It doesn't matter what people do to you. If you do whatever you do with kindness, people see that. Even young people, they see that. They see that you are passionate. I was passionate about their learning and did everything possible that I could to help them enjoy their learning and learn, be better, pass their assessments, exams, and what have you. And the children, they saw that.
Yeah.
Even if the adult did not see that, the children saw that.
Yeah. So Mary, I'm gonna take you to the next question. Which is in the 90s, when Scotland must have been a completely different country to what it is now in terms of wage and equality. As a teacher, how would you score the country today compared to the 1990s?
How do I score it?
Yes. How would you, in terms of race and equality? Race equality.
Oh, race equality. I would say improvement has been made, but still a lot to be done.
So if you were to score them on 10.
Well, on 10, I would say that maybe 4. I would say 4 because we've got a long way to go. A long way to go. We've got a long way to go because if I'm basing this on my experience alone, and it's not because I got involved at a higher level. So I got to know a lot of ethnic minority teachers, what they were going through. So when I say 4, I know what I'm talking about. And maybe 4, I'm saying, I don't know, maybe I'll get backlash on this, but I have always spoken the truth, and it's not going to change. At the end of the day, like in the 90s, I found it hard to believe that Black people were not encouraged to do certain things, yet you will find in the media that, oh, Black people don't want to come forward, Black people don't want to do this, Black people don't want to do that. But yet we put ourselves forward and we are overlooked. And that time, for example, when I went into teaching, it was very difficult. I only met one Black teacher, a Nigerian male teacher, but he retired. I was in that school for only 1 year anyway, and he must have retired soon after because I heard a lot of his stories. It was a very unhappy time. And for me, it was difficult wherever you went, and even till the time that I retired, wherever I went, most of the time you will be the Black face there. But I worked hard among other teachers and anybody who is fighting to make teaching environment better for people like me and also for everyone, because even if you are not being treated unfairly and you see your colleague being treated that way, I'm sure some of my colleagues did not like it. But at the end of the day, at a workplace, they are thinking about, everybody is worried about their job because they don't want to be involved, and then maybe they will be targeted. So everybody become implicit. You are part of the problem. But going back in the 90s, it was tough. For example, I went during my teacher training college, I went to a photocopying room, photocopying something, and an experienced teacher came in, and then she asked, or more like said to me, oh, I didn't know that we have an admin staff here, a new admin staff here. And it hit me. I said, oh, it's you she's talking about. And then I said to her that, no, I am a student teacher. She looked at me like from top to toe and then left the room, the photocopying room. So you can imagine. And I remember also that in schools, the classrooms then, and maybe so, you will have the glass panel on the classroom door. And you can see people doing double take, right? To maybe say to themselves that, is it a Black teacher I've seen there or a Black person I've seen there teaching? So that was a bit hard to take. But for me, I realized that I have put myself in that situation. So you have to just bear with it. The most important thing is for you to learn to teach and do your very best. Now, coming back to now, we have fought hard for diversity in the teaching profession. I have fought hard for equality. And now you can see some Black teachers in the profession. When you go to the up north, because I go to conferences and what have you, so I meet some of my colleagues, Black colleagues there, Black people who are teachers. They come to the conferences. You have to get involved, as I said earlier. So there are improvement. There are some improvement, but we still have a long way to go because it's not the employability.
Yeah.
It's putting structures in place to make sure that they retain every teacher.
Yeah. Okay.
We cannot go into teaching, and because of unfair treatment, we leave. And even some of them leave during the teacher training process. So something has to be done.
Yeah. So you were the only Black student teacher in college. What was your experience in college? Tell us a bit about that.
Well, I was the only Black because the other one, and we were also studying computing science and business, but somehow, I don't know why, as I said, she left. It was tough. It was really, really tough. And that time, people say things to you, right? In your face, this and that. But then also, I found for me, I tend to go more towards people who see me and value me and not take what other people on the other side say or do more. It's difficult, especially if your tutor is not treating you the same as others. It was tough. But then you have to find a way to talk to other tutors. That's what I did, to speak to make people aware that whatever is going on, others are aware of it. Because when people become aware of it, then it helps people to change their ways. It was very, very difficult, really, really difficult, to the point that one of my great lessons, I have to talk to somebody so that external examiner can come with my tutor. Because I knew then, I spoke, and also what I would advise people, you see, when you are, whether it's at uni, college, or at your workplace, talk to your colleagues, talk to your peers, ask them, then you will find out whether you are being treated unfairly or not. I did that when I was as a student teacher at college. I did that because I felt that, you see, you know when you are being treated unfairly. But for me, I always want to make sure that I'm not making a mistake.
Yeah.
And also, I know exactly what I'm talking about. So I spoke to my peers, other student teachers, without telling them why I wanted to know. I found a way to speak to them, and they told me, oh, when so and so came to see me, even we chat about this, we did this, and I'll ask them about maybe the assessment processes and what have you. Then I got to know that, oh, I I was put under microscope. It was tough at that time. It was extremely difficult. But you don't have to leave. Speak to somebody at the very top, and they will find a way to help you to they will help you
Yeah.
to make your life better, a bit comfortable, bearable.
Mm.
You have to help yourself first. You have to make sure that indeed, if they say, oh, tomorrow we need your lesson plan, or tomorrow you have to submit your assignment or what have you, you are on the ball and you are doing that. And if you are doing that and you are being treated unfairly, then somebody can support you.
That's right. So you can always get in support from someone as long as you're doing the right thing. I'm going to
Yes.
move to the next question because of time, Mary. So,
Okay.
one of the title, where chapter 6 in particular in the book is talking about crying season. I'm really keen to hear about that. Tell us why you call it crying season.
All right. I call that particular chapter. I want to, because right now there are so many chapters. Right, the crying season is chapter 5. The reason why I called it the crying season, because at that time it was horrific. I was moved on average once a year, and also applying for jobs and not getting feedback. And sometimes also it took so long for me to get feedback, one feedback out of many, when other colleagues who apply for the job have been informed the following day. It was all about the unfair treatment, the disparities that exist in education that I was exposed to. And in my book, if you buy it, and please buy this book, For the Love of Teaching, you don't have to be just a teacher to read it. It's about how it has help and advice in this book. Please read it. It will resonate with every reader, and you could find answers to your problems. So I will ask everyone to buy this book and read it.
Yeah.
This book, as you know, is a groundbreaking book. Please buy it and read it.
Yeah.
And going back to why I called this, as I have said,
crying
it
season.
was tough. It was really, really tough. But for me to be resilient, find it in me somehow to give the best that I could during that period, also to the children that I taught, and always go to work with a smile or a smile in my face, was very difficult. And for anybody who has been systematically been discriminated against, even for the name, the crying season tells you something. It was tough because No one. I think for at that time, it was free for all because I did not keep quiet. I complained about the unfair treatment. So then they said, well, if you are not going to keep quiet, if you're going to talk about your unfair treatment, we will show you that maybe we have the upper hand. It was tough, really tough. To the point that my colleagues, some of them called me, I was a voodoo worshiper because they tried everything. And that was influence to my skin color because they will not call a white colleague a voodoo worshiper because they have done, maybe I felt that I didn't know what they were thinking, but from what they did to me, I felt they did everything and did not see me breaking down, crying in front of them, begging for them to do whatever they felt that I should beg them to do for me, but rather complain about the racism that I was seeing. They made my life difficult. But I persevered. And for me, I believe that whatever I was complaining about, I was being truthful. And I felt that if I was being truthful, then people will listen to me because above all, I had the evidence to back me up.
Yeah.
And
So
also,
let
I felt that if I quit, then for me, I will forever regret it because when I entered teaching, there was, well, as I said, one Black person there. And along the way, there was nobody to share what I was going through with, to really understand what was happening to me. I made it my business to fight at that time, to fight regardless of even if they were going to move me every month. I was determined to fight, to pave. Maybe I thought that by fighting, I could pave the way for people who look like me and also help children who look like me to be treated better than I was treated. So I think that also was one of the factors that sustained me through the crying season. It was difficult. And even to the point that the same person also told me when she saw me fighting so hard, not fighting with them, using the law, just leaving it to the union to do whatever. To make my life a bit better and also highlighting, right, the issues for them to take things serious. Now, like my union, they give a lot of training to Black and ethnic minority teachers, which when I started, maybe it wasn't like that. But they listened. By listening to us, we campaigning, working together, we have got that. They have put that in place. For me, if I'm lost count how many leadership training courses that they've given to me. And also for me sitting here, being able to achieve what I have achieved is through the training and the empowerment of it that has helped me to get to where I am today. So I will ask everybody to just join it. The crying season is everything. Everything is in it. How I was treated, the things that was said to me. It's a good book. Please, everybody.
So it's about your resilience, and your perseverance. I also want to ask you this. Maybe at this point, let's listen or hear you read one of the chapters in your book. You know, your favorite chapter. So
Okay,
everything there is
right.
about your experience. But let's hear one of your favorite chapter.
Okay. I have read two in the past at my lunch. So today I am going to read The Activist and Me.
Which chapter is that?
I'm coming. I will find it shortly.
Okay.
Right? It's chapter 9.
Chapter 9. Okay. Yeah.
It's The Activist in Me. Because for me, I will say this before I continue, I have always been an activist. I don't want to see people being mistreated.
Mm.
And that I grew up with it. And maybe that has made me who I am and been able to fight racism the way that I have.
Mm.
So I started on the day that Theresa May came into power in the UK, 13th of July 2016, from the steps on number 10 Downing Street. She vowed to tackle the injustice in the criminal justice system, education, and health. A few months later, in October 2017, the Prime Minister published the Race Disparity Audit, stating that we know that Britain today in the 21st century is a diverse, multi-ethnic democracy. Diversity is a source of strength and pride for us. But when one person works just as hard as another person and has got the same ambitions and aspirations, but experiences a worse outcome solely the grounds of their ethnicity, then this is a problem that I believe we have to confront. As a Black woman, when I heard her saying these words, I felt that it was about time the trade unions held the politicians to account. It is so easy to use these narratives and rhetoric, but not actually providing any concrete actions or solutions. We are we all know that education influences life chances, and secondary qualifications are seen as the means to further education, employment, and wealth. So, including Black minority communities into discussions about education and in the labor market is crucial in reducing prejudice and discrimination in society. By doing so, we can truly start to dismantle systemic racism. I feel that effective measures are still not in place to enhance Black people's mobility in the labor market. And it is unfortunate that Black minority ethnic communities are still faced with serious and ongoing inequality at work. There are intelligent and talented people within the Black, Asian, and minority ethnic communities who recognize that they are their own change agents, and they expect the government, local authorities, councillors, and the communities at large to recognize this. As an activist, I was told in the workplace that my effort to bring about policy changes were not part of my contracted duties, and as such, I should leave it to my white counterparts whose contractual duties included equality. As a Black person, I knew that Black minority ethnic people in the workplace knew best, and no one could tell our stories better and I continue to do so without fear or favor. I knew and understood what prejudice and discrimination can do to those who encounter it. I took a stand to challenge racism in the schools where I taught. I strive to make contribution to Black workers' conferences and shared my experiences with members as well as to enrich my knowledge with their shared experiences. I knew that attaining true equality would take giant steps and prepared to make my contribution. I fought racism all my adult life and particularly in the last 9 years. Racism in Scotland and across the UK was not new when the Brexit referendum happened in June 2016. It could be argued that the referendum campaign helped to amplify attitude that already existed and emboldened people with racist thought and attitudes to voice their views publicly rather than in their own safe space. I encourage people of all creeds, wherever I met them, to challenge unconscious bias, silencing and belittling of others, and that there were individuals experiencing prejudice, discrimination, and racism, offensive jokes, insults, name calling, and verbal abuse. I also made them aware of the fact that there are threats, comments, negative stereotypes, and hate crimes directed at individuals based on their color, the color of their skin. People like Ida B. Wells, Martin Luther King, Mary Church Terrell, John Lewis, Septima Clark, Nelson Mandela, Rosa Parks, Barack Obama, and not to forget some of our own UK Black successes like Diane Abbott, David Lammy, Efua Hurst, etc., and Black Lives Matter movement had inspired the world with a renewed sense of hope, justice, and equality. Besides, we all have a duty to support others in a reciprocal way. Thank you.
So, from the account you have given in your book, Eddie, what do you hope your book will do to especially young Black and Scottish people?
I hope that everybody, everyone, regardless, Black, white, whatever, people get to read this book. And I'm trying very hard to get it out there for people to read. And I hope that one day children, the next generation, will not come to us and say, oh, somebody has been racist to me, because I believe that this book, reading it, especially where I've talked about unpacking racism and microaggression, shows how we feel. For example, when somebody touches your hair in a way that makes you feel this person is belittling you because of how your hair grows, the texture of your hair, you become the joke. I hope that they understand the effect on people so that those belittling stop, because sometimes also maybe people don't see the effect on Black people. They think, oh, you are different. Oh, this and that. You can admire somebody far apart without going through all that process. So I believe that my book, in the end, will bring people together for us to work together for the common good of fighting racism. And by doing so, we can live in harmony in society. Because when you look at it, we are all human. We all breathe.
Yeah.
We all have blood, the same blood. It must be one different blood group for you, the same blood type that I will have. Another race could have my blood type. So I don't see why we cannot work in harmony, why some people have to put their self up there and think that other race is beneath them. Racism is ugly.
So in the book, Mary, I keep seeing words like perseverance and patience. Does that characterize how you dealt with the adversity of racism in your profession?
Yeah, for being resilient is one of them, and also just persevere, be determined in what you're doing, because at the end of the day, it's not nice. It's ugly. Racism is ugly, and for people to throw it out at you day in, day out, it's hard to take. But for me, if we are going to fight racism, that's why I believe, though, another person can have a different idea, but then we all can come together to share our ideas and fight it. For me, if we argue with people for whatever they are saying, and also I used to, and still do, call these comments the digs, and all that, I used to call that, I say, oh, background noise. Don't listen to them. Just concentrate on what you're doing. Be determined in what you're doing and focus. Keep your focus. Try. When I say focus, right, what you're doing, try to remember why the reason why you are in that workplace. Keep your focus. I always say that don't forget the price. For me, my price was teaching the children, giving them the high quality education that I could provide to. That was, for me, that was the price I was keeping my focus on, for the children to do well, to do better than when they came to my class. And if I achieved that, that was good enough for me, and that was good enough for the children. So your focus, determination, perseverance, we all have that in us. Because some people think that they will look at me and say, oh, maybe you are stronger than me. No, I'm not. You have to learn, right? I remember somebody asked me a question at the lunch. Similar question. How, maybe I can't remember, but just similar question. How did I manage to survive through all that? It's just that you have to know, as I said, the reason why you are there. And by, you see, people, it doesn't matter what the issue is. When people say things to you and you respond in a certain way, then you've given them what they want. For me, I dealt with it the other way. Sometimes, you see, you feel like you want to just maybe do something, right? To release the anger, the frustration in you. I smiled. And by doing so, I realized that, oh, the more I smile at these things and just leave it for others to help me deal with it, gave me that secret power I had, right? I don't think I'm stronger than anyone. I felt hurt when I was belittled. I felt it and all that. I felt all the emotions, but at the end of the day, I also was determined that no, no one, because I knew at the very beginning, if I have quit teaching, it would be her, oh, she wasn't that good. That's why she quit. She couldn't teach. That's why she quit. Black people can't teach. That's why she quit. That's what people would have said. But I stuck with it. And guess what? Now, there are some people who will not say that Mary was a bad teacher, or Mary couldn't teach, or Mary, what have you. Because then when you stick with it, you do your very best to fight the disparities and systemic racism, you will come on top. Maybe I did not become a principal teacher. They did not promote me, but hey, I use my brain. Black people, white people, we all have the brains. So I would say to my fellow Black people, please use the brain that God has given you.
So
we are all been gifted. So please use it. For me, I use it. And I was not promoted. It came to a point that they brought this qualification in chartered teacher, right? Chartered teacher studies. I paid for it. You pay with your own money. I paid for it and got on to the course. I did what it was stopped, but I achieved the chartered teacher studies based on the modules. It was modules, through modules. I achieved the teacher. No one recognized that, called me, that, but I didn't care. I've got what it says that, yes, I achieved that. And also, I knew the successes that I had in teaching. So for me, no one could say that, oh, Mary was a bad teacher, she couldn't teach, that's why she quit. I was there doing it all with them, the same way as they were doing. So I will beg my fellow Black people, please, when the tough gets going, do not quit.
Do not quit.
Talk to other people. Talk to other people. Get help that way. There is always help available. Seek help and enjoy the work that you're doing. We everybody knows that we are also like any other race. We have given a lot to society. Everybody knows that. So don't buy what people say to you that you are good for nothing. We are not. We have made a huge contribution to Scottish society, whether people want to accept it or not. Have your self-belief, because I did, and that helped me. For me, no one could destroy me because I had my self-belief. Because I knew I was as good as the next person in whatever I did. And to me, that was good enough, because people will make you feel that you are nothing. Your efforts are nothing. But trust me, you are maybe performing better than others. So believe in yourself and be proud of what you are, the services that you are providing, and the inputs in society that you are giving.
Okay, that's wonderful. So you have been campaigning as well for diversity in the teaching profession in Scotland. Are you gaining any grounds on that front? Is the Scottish government listening to you?
Yes, well, I would say yes, but then it's slowly, right? It takes time. It's taking a long time because for me, as a Black person, a Black teacher, that was about 3 years ago. For the Scottish government recruitment campaign to approach me to be the face of their recruitment campaign, that was also something that I celebrated. I never thought that could happen. And also for even a discussion of training teachers on racism or in racism, for me, I never thought that could happen. Gradually, we are getting there. And this book, I have also sent it to Scottish government. I've sent about three of them, three of the books to the people at the top there. I want them to read because I don't want anybody, and so many maybe years to come, they say, oh, we did not see this book. We didn't even know this book exists. So I have done that. And I'm yet to receive a response on that. But it's at the beginning. We are at the beginning, and hopefully, it will be better for the next generation, because every fight, you are the one doing it, and I'm doing so, not for me, for the next generation. And hopefully, we will get there one day. I'm hopeful.
Mary Osei Oppong, is there any question or something you expected me to ask you, which I haven't or I didn't in the course of this interview? Or is there something that you would like to say or always wanted to say or wanted to?
Oh,
You can do so now.
ah, I would just say that I think you've asked me everything. We've talked for a while now, so I think we have exhausted every avenue. Oh, just giving encouragement to everyone. For me, I'm someone, because I'm passionate about campaigning for equality, and equality includes everybody. I'm somebody, I campaign for inclusion.
Yeah.
And everyone, because racism is there, we suffer that. And also, apart from racism, there are other discriminations also that we could also go through. It could be that a Black person also has got disabilities or whatever, or other race, they've got this and that. We all have to work together. But for me, what I would say to finish it, I've touched on that previously. Sometimes we sit down, and I've done that. We all do that. But I've taken the responsibility to make sure that the changes that I want to see around me, I have become part of it, and more so maybe a leader. So I want to say to everyone, whatever change you want to see in your surroundings, environment, or wherever you find yourself, be the change agent, because no one is going to start that for you. But once you start, then people will maybe see how hard you are working for a cause. And trust me, you will get people on board, like-minded people on board, to fight your course, and then you will get there. So please be your own change agent.
Be your own
Yes.
Be your own change agent. I think we heard that very clear. Mary Osei Oppong, again, retired teacher, author of the book For the Love of Teaching, now available on Amazon. Is the book available anywhere else apart from Amazon, Mary?
No, it's just on Amazon right
Yes,
now.
that's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Thank you so much. Thank you for your very inspiring story and for your book. Really appreciate your time that you came on today, and good luck and wish you the best. I know you're now in retirement. We'll be talking again time to time so that we can get this conversation going on some of the subjects that you've raised in your book, and some of the things that are happening so that we can track the changes and the influences that we're having. Thank you so much, Mary.
Right. Thank you so much. And anybody who has bought the book, please do your review.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I want to get that. I need to do the review. So I need to.
And also, thank you so much, George, for having me. That's very kind of you. And I've seen the book on Facebook.
Yeah,
You put it there.
yeah, that's
Thank
right.
you
Yeah. That's right.
for
We
the
need to
advert.
promote it. Yeah,
Yes, thank you so much.
excellent.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Have a nice weekend.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.